A lot of people in comedy today, and a lot of women lately have gotten into comedy. And when you ask them to name the role model or name the grande dame of comedy, invariably they say it's got to be Phyllis Diller. Hi, everyone. We're on location at Harrah's in Atlantic City, and we'll be back to talk with the grande dame of comedy right after this. And welcome back to Dressing Room 8 at Harrah's in Atlantic City. We're talking with Phyllis Diller, who's in the middle of a week-long engagement here. First of all, good to see you back in Atlantic City.
Well, I love this place. You know, it's fun.
When was the first time you played here?
When I played the Steel Pier.
Ooh.
We're talking vaudeville.
We're talking, what, really?
Absolutely. It was before gambling, of course.
Long before.
Little old horsey jumping off, and they played a movie 4 times a day, and my God, you did something between.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? There was no time to leave the theater. I had to have a cot put in the dressing room. I've suffered, darling.
Oh, I know. It was terrible. You know, Frank Sinatra tells a story about when he was working with Harry James there, and they were doing 13 shows a day.
On the pier?
On the pier.
Oh.
And he said they would bring down the curtain, they would hand you a hamburger and a Coke, you'd take one bite, one sip, the curtain comes up, and you're back out doing it again.
Well, see, that's
You only did 4 a day, though.
Then I was beefing. You see, it's called paying the dues.
Paying the dues.
But it's the way you get to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Suffer a little.
Now, you started in comedy rather late in life. Weren't you a newspaper columnist originally?
It was a San Leandro News Observer.
Right.
And then I crossed the bay and started working for big radio stations like KSFO and, you know, well, see, here we are on the East Coast. People don't know about those things. Anyway, it was a hot number.
Big station.
San Francisco, it got me in a big city.
Doing what?
Oh, well, by then I was a press agent for the station.
Right.
And merchandising manager. And they
nothing to do with comedy, though.
Oh, no. When I wrote, it always was funny.
Mm-hmm.
If I was writing commercials, when I used to be continuity,
right.
I started out doing that. I always, if the buyer would allow it, I always made it funny.
So you had that funny bone, funny streak in you.
Always. I believe in it. I believe that funny is healthy.
In what way?
Boy, I mean, well, if you're laughing, you can't fight a war.
And if you're laughing, you can fight an illness.
Oh boy,
they say laughter's the best medicine.
Well, what's the guy who wrote the book Anatomy of Illness?
Bill Dana contributed to that. I think it was Norman Cousins.
Norman Cousins.
Norman
yes.
Cousins.
He proved.
Right.
He proved that you can cure a terminal, completely incurable quote illness by comedy. You haven't read the book?
Yes, I did.
Oh, well, you know.
Yes, I did.
I watched he was a little old man, way over 70, playing tennis. After they pronounced him, he was going to turn to stone. Remember that disease where you hit with your head? And painful. They had him on drugs. Well, that's all they think they can do.
So we ought to call you Dr. Phyllis.
Hey. I should have been a doctor.
Really? Did you ever think about that or not?
Well, I really am very much interested in health. Mm-hmm. You know, health, mental health, and physical health.
Plastic surgery.
Oh, plastic surgery, too.
That you're an expert in, right?
Oh, I am. I'm the expert.
Well, when you got into comedy, I think you were, 38 years old?
30, yes, I was.
Phyllis, what was it like trying to break in as a stand-up comic? Because there weren't that many female comics.
Really.
There were really none.
Not stand-up.
Not doing stand-up.
There's always been comic actresses.
Right.
And there always are a lot of comic actresses. You know, people like Terry Garr.
Right.
Long time ago, Billy Burke. And, there's always
you go back to Fanny Bryce.
Yes. Well, she was, of course, she worked double, you see.
Right.
But stand-up is a different genre. Mm-hmm. It's the scariest.
Why did you try it? I mean, something had to click inside your head and say, hey, I can do that.
Well, it wasn't my head. It was my husband's head.
It was?
Yeah, he insisted that I do it.
Mm-hmm.
And he had one thing in mind, money.
Okay. Which is nothing wrong with money.
Well, he knew I was funny.
Did you know you were funny?
I didn't really realize that I was that funny. Mm-hmm. But he did.
Now, when we talk about your husband, we're talking about Fang?
No, I've had 2 real husbands.
Had 2 real
Fang
husbands.
is forever.
Right.
he's a myth. He can't die.
Right. People think that Fang was one of your husbands, but he wasn't.
That's all right. I don't care what they think, as long as they laugh.
As long as they laugh and as long as they pay their money to get in. But Fang is a figment of your
I
imagination.
made him up. He was an ad lib.
Really?
Yeah, wonderful ad lib.
How did that happen?
Oh, one night when I was new, back when I was 37 and starting out, I was struggling for material. You know, you start out, you don't have anything to say. You don't have, material is so important. It should be good. The better, you know, you're only as good as your material. And I would go out every night with new things and try to develop, because you can only really do it in front of an audience.
That's right.
And I was talking about an accident, and I had to call home and talk to old Fang Face.
It just came out.
And yeah, it was just another word for husband.
Right.
And because, you know, in the old days when women didn't have cars, the car belonged to the man.
Mm-hmm.
And if it was a one-car family, it's a part of his body. And you rip a fender off, it's like the Bobbitt family, you know. But nowadays, everybody has their own car. You know, things have changed. But I called home. I was going to tell old Fang Face about. Then I shortened that to Fang Face. Then I shortened it to Fang, and that's when I started working on it to build a character.
Fang was watching a public service spot the other day on television. The guy was showing how to use a condom by putting on his sock. Now Fang is carrying a sock in his wallet. He's got to be the dumbest man alive. He walked into a butcher shop and he asked the butcher, "How much are crabs?" And the butcher said, "They're $20 a dozen." And Fang said, "Shake hands with a millionaire." The man is ridiculous. Oh, God, thank God he couldn't come along and ruin this trip. He had a little accident. He was doing push-ups in the nude and he didn't notice the mousetrap.
People just adore Fang. They love it.
What is it? Is it that they can identify that everybody has a Fang at home?
Well, I think it's because if you listen to what Fang does, you've got to feel superior.
That is amazing. So it's a figment of your imagination that caught on, like your laugh.
Well, that's my real laugh. I can't help
Is it
that.
really your
Oh,
real-
my God, yes.
That's not something you developed?
No, I can't help that.
You've been laughing that way?
All my life.
Hmm.
It's not
And it's be-
ladylike. It's a terrible thing.
But it's become a hook, an incredible trademark.
I really, I enjoy life. And especially when it's funny and fun. Oh, God, if you were at my house when I have one kid especially.
Invite me.
You're invited.
Thank you.
I have one
I'll be there.
kid who whenever, I just say hello on the phone and we're both off.
Really?
Laughing for maybe 3 minutes, you know. Just hello, we laugh.
I mean, it almost seems as though there's nothing sad in your life.
Well,
But everybody has
of course they do.
got something.
They have sadness in their life. But the thing is, you play that down and play the other up. Because what you play up grows.
Okay.
It expands.
Interesting.
You see? People who dwell on... All right, I'll give you an
No,
example.
go ahead. That's what I want to hear.
If you know a person who, when you see them, they're always going to tell you what's wrong with them and that you
Right.
want to see my scar, my operation, I've been sick. You're going to walk to the other side of the street to avoid hearing the medical report.
Right.
Okay? It's as simple as that. People who are up attract friends. People who are always down, you're going to find them alone.
So you're an up person.
Well, I've learned to be. I mean, that's just something. Anyone can do it. Happiness is a habit. It can be cultivated. You know, you don't have to say I'm unhappy. Say I'm happy.
Now, when you go out in public, for instance, here at Harrah's, if you go out and go into the casino or go into the deli to have lunch or whatever, do you have to get yourself on? Do you have to work yourself into a happy state, or are you just naturally that way?
Well, I'm happy unless I'm under anesthetic.
All right. You have had something of a double career in that you were a concert pianist.
I wouldn't go that far, but I've played
You were
with
close
symphony.
to it. You've played with symphony
It
orchestras.
was fun.
Do you do it anymore or not?
No, because I can't manage it.
Really?
No, I don't have the schedule changed in such a way. I used to play places for, say, a month or at least 2 weeks. Well, then you could practice.
Right.
But when you have really, like, say, especially one-nighters or convention, you know, where you pop around, you just can't. You can take a violin, but you can't take a piano.
Right, exactly. Now, when you did those symphony dates, did you mix in comedy with it?
Well, I invented a whole other character.
You did there was another Phyllis.
Well, actually, it was Dame Ilya.
Ilya.
Oh, she was so grand.
That's right. And she came out in a black dress.
A white.
White, was it white dress?
Yeah,
with
white,
pearls?
Yeah. Oh, she had, white fur, white sparklies, feathers sticking up, you know, all the old stuff. Like she would be dressed like Queen Elizabeth at a court occasion. I mean, ultra grand.
Did you do comedy in there?
Oh, the whole show was comedy.
But you still had the piano.
Except for what I played. That I played straight.
All right, I'm going to ask you a question now that I asked you. I think the first time we met about 15 years ago, and that is, if you were to come on stage in a very, very chic black dress with a single strand of pearls and without the wig, looking very glamorous, would you be just as funny?
No.
You would not. Why?
Otherwise, that's the way I dress.
Really?
It wouldn't be as funny. Number one.
Okay.
I wouldn't feel as funny.
All right.
See, I feel funny. I take one look at this. I haven't got it on now. See, when I change the wig, I become a different person.
Yeah, you are. I can see that just talking to you right now versus the way you were on stage 20 minutes ago.
Sure, right. I like to. It probably is a process of evolution where when I first started, came out in the black dress with the dark hair, and I looked like the woman next door. That's what I was, the woman next door. Now, you don't have to pay money to look at the woman next door. You can look at her all day long for nothing.
You can look out the front door and there she is,
And
right?
see, I analyze everything, every detail. I analyze it all. Then I found that you must reflect light. And then in the larger the rooms, when you're working a room, say, that seats 2,000, they got to be able to find you. Now, best you should sparkle.
So you started wearing...
I started lightening everything, and then I started sparkling, and then I found the kind of shapes and things that I liked and felt good in. I have to feel good in some.
But not necessarily look good.
You'd be amazed. The dresses are not that awful. It's just that once you get the wig and the boots, you see, I have this thing.
You know, you're right. That the dress you wore tonight really was not that bad, but with those boots,
the boots and the gloves and the hair, because see, that's pre-sold. That's like a package. That's a package deal. If I just left that dress on and took all the other things off and put on normal things,
right,
it would be very pretty.
Was this something you developed naturally?
Well,
or did anybody suggest, like?
Well, I'll never forget. See, when I first started out, I had no money. I was penniless, and I will never forget at one of my first jobs in Boston, working for this man who had been in show business all his life. And remember, I was wearing black,
right,
all black, for years, just black leotards. Of course, it was kind of a thing then, black skirt, black everything, black. And he said to me one day, because he liked me very much, wanted to help me, he said, you know, you need wardrobe. And I thought he meant one of those things where you hang clothes in and open the doors. He meant I should buy some new dresses, buy some new things. And I'll never forget, I went shopping at Filene's basement, about what I could afford, and bought a shocking pink velvet dress. And it became my look for a long time.
So that was the first time?
That was the first time I came out of the black.
All right, the first time you came out with that pink dress on, after the black leotard, the black dress, you're out there in that shocking pink dress. Did you feel funnier?
Actually, that dress was so chic, and I wasn't dressing funny at all. I was just wearing plain, ordinary pumps, and the dress was straight. I must have been funny because I've been working steady every day.
You've been, right, and you work when you want to.
Yes.
I would imagine that you are financially independent. Now, if you didn't want to work, another day. You probably wouldn't have to.
No, but I'd be bored stiff.
Would you really?
Oh.
After all these years?
I'd probably get in trouble. Probably open a cat house.
Now, wait a minute. I wouldn't see that would be trouble. That would be another source of income.
My mother opened one and sold 37 cats the first day.
I knew I was playing straight person to you on that one. I knew
But
I was
you're
playing
good.
straight man. Well, thank you.
David, you're good.
I appreciate that.
You realize that when I got into business as the only female stand-up,
Right.
even all the guys were working double.
Mhm.
It was the era of doubles.
Right.
Alan and Rossi, Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, and the guy that has the beard that works single now. And it works with all those words. He's a real
George Carlin.
George Carlin.
Yeah, Carlin.
He was Carlin and Fufu and Carlin
Right.
and Fafa and
Right.
Carlin. And he had about a lot of different partners,
yeah.
you know.
He did.
But underneath was a single.
Mhm.
But you see that you don't have doubles anymore. Think about that.
That's right.
They're all singles now. That's what stand-up is, you know, single. But you used to always be give and take, you know, like with that darling man George Burns and Gracie. And then when she died, it all went away, you know.
Everybody thought that was the end of George.
Well, you know, the end of George was actually caused. I mean, the beginning of
George
the new
was
George was caused by the end of Jack Benny. Jack Benny, because he got in the Sunshine Boys,
That's right.
and that gave him a whole new career.
Would you like something like that to happen to you?
I was in the Sunshine Boys.
Right. You were a sunshine.
I don't want anybody to die.
No.
Oh,
But a movie like, well, I'm sure. One last question. A few years ago, you caused a major controversy at the Friars Club when you crashed one of their men only, their stag roasts. As I recall, you got to do extensive makeup. You wore a man's suit,
I went to a lot of trouble.
You crashed a Friars Club roast.
Yes.
And who were they roasting? I'm trying to remember.
Sid Caesar.
Sid Caesar. Why did you do that?
And the roast master, I believe, was Buddy Hackett.
Buddy Hackett.
Yes.
It was Buddy Hackett.
Well, somebody put me up to it.
Was it a challenge or what?
I would never think of a thing like that. I really don't think like
Because
that.
Friars roast, we got to tell the people, were stag affairs at that
And
point.
all men.
And filthy. I mean, I've been to them. Filthy.
And they even make the waiters leave.
Yeah, make the waiters leave the room, right.
The waiters are male, but they still won't. They don't want
Right.
anyone in there. In other words, it's a closed group, and all men. Now, I wasn't carrying a placard or anything like that. I wasn't trying to.
You weren't trying to
No.
break down the barrier.
I wasn't. A friend of mine, actually, it was a beau at the time. He thought that would be the funniest thing in the world for me to do. And I thought it sounded kind of funny to me,
Yeah,
too.
good.
So the only way it could have been carried off, he bought an entire table. Because anyone sitting close to me, it would have been over. You know, it would have just been over.
Right, they would have known.
Number one, I was so nervous I couldn't eat. Well, I had a mustache. Of course, it doesn't make you nervous. You got a mustache.
I got a mustache. Oh.
But remember, I couldn't go to the ladies' room or the men's room. Think about it.
And those things take a long time, too.
Because
Those
if
roasts
I walk in the
go for
ladies' room,
they
they're going
go
to
for
scream.
days,
And if I
right.
walk into the men's room,
Yeah, where are you going to go?
well, I'll tell you what, it was fun. And they made me an honorary member.
It caused such a controversy, though.
Oh, it did.
But you didn't mean for that to happen. You just
No, it was
I'm
just,
doing it as
just
a
a fun
joke
thing, just a fun thing. Because, you know,
incredible.
people in this business play a lot of tricks on each other.
Absolutely. I mean,
And that was what it was to me. It was just a trick.
it was a great gag. Phyllis, thanks so much. I appreciate spending time with you. It's
Thank you.
always a bundle of laughs whenever you're in town.
Well, we'll have to do this more often.
I want to be invited to your house. I'm going to take you up on that.
All right.
Okay.
You're there.
Got another tip for you. Be kind to your children because they will be choosing your rest home. I've already chosen one for Fang's mother, the Charles Manson Healthcare Center. That old She went to the doctor with a pain under her left breast. Turned out to be a trick knee. Fang's cousin called last week, said they're burying a pig. Either she died or they're having a luau. Now, I think I ought to tell you that this is a wig. I am not the white Tina Turner. I've outlived my hair. Well, I've outlived most of my body. Except some of it I've had fixed. I've had a lot of things done to my body. When I die, God won't know me. No two parts of my body the same age. My left is older than the right. I've had so many facelifts. If I have one more, it'll be cesarean. I had to do something. I was so wrinkled I could screw my hats on. One night I answered the door with a broom in my hand. A guy tried to sell me flight insurance. My face has been pulled up more times than Jimmy Swiggert's pants. He's just written a book, Driving with Your Knees. But I'll tell you the truth, I don't mind wearing wigs.